We're only one day away until the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Preview night starts tomorrow. So I think around 6 o'clock or so, theaters will start screening this movie. And then the first full official day is Friday. And then the big day, Saturday and Sunday. So I am very curious to how this movie will perform in the box office. Because as I've been saying for a while, this is going to be our first test for how superhero movies as a whole are going to perform going forward. Is there superhero fatigue? Or is it just that there's been so much bad content put out by Disney that it's destroyed this market? There's been a lot of flops. Marvel's had one. DC's had one. Shazam 2, flop. Black Adam didn't really perform that well either. And then you had Ant-Man 3, which didn't make money. In fact, it lost money. So there's a little bit of a pattern that's starting with these movies underperforming. And I didn't even talk about Phase 4. We're going to leave Phase 4 out of it because that's where all of this shit started. This movie actually appears to be okay from what I've heard. The reviews, not that it matters, are pretty positive. That could backfire. What they should have done, honestly, was told them to give it bad reviews. They should have given it bad reviews. And then everyone, you could have had a little bit of Mario magic there, but they're giving it positive reviews. I bet you this movie's fine, to be honest. In fact, I'll go out and say it's probably a good movie. Just based on the other ones, because I like all of these movies and I like James Gunn's stuff, I'm going to safely say that this is probably an okay movie. Probably not amazing, though I hear it's the best thing since Infinity War. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to try to see it Friday, early. I'm probably going to be able to. I might squeak it in so that I can review it and let you know if it's any good or not. I feel that if you're going to talk about these things, you should try to watch them so you can come from a place where you know what the hell you're talking about. I am curious, though, to how this film will perform box office-wise, because there's a lot riding on this movie, and the press is already out there trying to spin what's probably not going to be a very good box office weekend. Now, I could be wrong. These are estimates, right? This movie could make tons of money. It could make $400 million this weekend. Very much could happen. But the data that's coming back says otherwise. So Variety here, a good little Disney simp, is doing its best to spin this. So look at how they word this. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to end Super Mario's 4-week box office reign with $120 million debut. It's for sure going to knock the movie that's been out for 4 weeks at the top down because this is a big property. But they're trying to spin this as it's some great, glorious defeat. $120 million is not a good box office for this movie. This movie needs to make a lot of money. It has a big budget. And some outlets have it reporting slightly above Ant-Man, and Ant-Man lost money because next week this film is going to have a big drop like every Marvel movie has had for a while now. By the way, if this movie fails, you know what comes out next for Marvel? The Marvels. You're crazy if you think that movie's going to make $1 billion. So let's take a look at some of the numbers that people are talking about here. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 box office estimates take a hit. Will the MCU fans turn out for the last version of the team as James Gunn heads to the direct competition? Will they? That's a good question. Let's take a look at some of this here. Super Mario might be putting a hamper on the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 box office as the third film from James Gunn is now projected to open at $10 million lower than original estimates, and only 4 weekends of release, Super Mario has already jumped past the magical $1 billion mark, with the movie not looking like it will be slowing down anytime soon. We can also add that the new Resident Evil has been performing well at nearly $90 million. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, however, while originally estimated to open at $130 million, is now estimated to open to $120 million, according to Variety, well below the $146 million opening of the second movie. According to early reviews, the flick is a lot darker than the two previous movies, and there are some complaints about animal cruelty, so it'll be interesting to see how the MCU fans react. I'm all in it if the film is a tad more serious. I actually agree with that. I'm sick of the goofy shit. Every movie has to be goofy at Marvel. This is why I think this is one of the reasons why I like The Batman so much. The Batman is a very serious movie. That movie is very serious. It's not a jokey movie like every MCU movie is now. Every single Marvel property has to be today's comedy. And I'm so sick of that. And I think a lot of people are. I like serious, dark movies for these now because they're so rare. So, I think that'd be good if it's a serious movie. It'd be change of pace. Marvel desperately needs to change things up for sure. So Deadline is stating $110 million opening. That's $20 million less. Recall how it was reported ticket pre-sales were less than Eternals, which opened up to only $71 million, and lower than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which opened to $106 million. Volume 3 is reported to have $26 million in pre-sales, while for comparison, at this time last year, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness had $60 million in pre-sales before opening to over $187 million. That's not good. Daily Mail saying the same thing. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 eyeing 110 domestic with a 250 worldwide, slightly above the debut for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So remember, Ant-Man and the Wasp lost money. Any way you look at it, that movie lost money. Now, the difference between the long-term legs of this film and Ant-Man is this film might have benefit from word of mouth. I don't think the word of mouth for Quantumania was good. That didn't help that movie going forward. That's why one of the reasons it had such a massive drop the second weekend. This film could have less of a drop the second weekend because I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to have good word of mouth, which will help it. However, I don't know how much it'll help it because I think a lot of people have just checked out. I really do. I think a lot of people just checked out after Endgame. And, Endgame was a pretty satisfying ending for Marvel. If you wanted to, you could dip there and be happy. And I think a lot of people have. I think a lot of people came back for some of the shit. Like, what was other than No Way Home and that other Spider-Man movie, what was it, like WandaVision was the first thing? What was the first thing after that? I can't remember. It wasn't blowing anybody away. All that Phase 4 shit was pretty bad outside of Spider-Man. So, I do wonder, how is this film? If this film does bad, we could seriously, like I said in the last video, start talking about the end of the comic book movie. Not forever. And we still have to go through the deconstruction phase. But I think we could seriously talk about these things not being the big cash cows they were, which would be great because that means we'd go to smaller budgets and people would actually have to be creative again. But I don't know if that's going to happen. It's all riding on this movie. If this movie does well, then I don't think that the brand is that damaged. But if this movie fails, I think the ride's over. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, if you would please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing
links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.